What if I told you that the difference between a sharp, focused mind and a tired, foggy brain could come down to just one simple cup? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to process information so quickly while others struggle to keep up? It's not just genetics, it's not just luck. Often, it's the daily habits that shape the way your brain performs. That single cup could be a cup of nutrient-packed green tea, rich in compounds like L-theanine and antioxidants that calm the nervous system while boosting mental clarity. Or it might be a cup of coffee, but not the oversweetened heavy kind that leaves you crashing an hour later. Instead, a clean, simple cup that ignites alertness and focus. Science confirms this. Small amounts of natural compounds can light up the brain, supporting memory, attention, and creativity. Think about this. How many of us walk through life distracted, tired, unable to hold a thought for more than a few seconds? The average person checks their phone hundreds of times a day, constantly scattering their attention. Yet one intentional habit, like starting the morning with a brain-boosting drink, can recenter the mind. The great thinkers of history often had rituals. They didn't leave their minds to chance. Whether it was the philosophers sipping herbal brews or inventors taking long walks with a cup in hand, they knew the brain needed nourishment and consistency. Modern research only proves what ancient wisdom already taught us. What you consume fuels not only your body, but also your intelligence. Now let's be clear. It's not about a magic drink that instantly makes you a genius. It's about setting up the environment in which your brain can thrive. That one cup is a symbol of intention, a small act of discipline that signals to your body and your mind, I am preparing for clarity. I am choosing focus. If you find yourself stuck in mental fog, if you feel like your memory isn't what it used to be, the solution isn't always complicated. Start simple. Hydrate properly. Choose one smart drink in the morning instead of a sugar-loaded distraction. Give your brain the tools it needs to perform. Remember, the brain is energy hungry. It consumes about 20% of the body's energy, even though it's such a small part of your body weight. Feed it the right fuel, and it rewards you with sharper memory, faster recall, and stronger creativity. Ignore it, and you'll keep hitting walls of forgetfulness and fatigue. So tomorrow morning, as you reach for that first cup, ask yourself, is this cup making me sharper, or is it slowing me down? Because just one cup made wisely can make you smarter. It's not a theory. It's not a gimmick. It's a practice. And the difference it makes over weeks, months, and years is the difference between drifting through life half awake and living with full awareness, energy, and brilliance. What if I told you that the difference between a sharp, focused mind and a tired, foggy brain could come down to just one simple cup? It sounds almost too easy, doesn't it? But think about it. How often do we complicate things, chasing after the next big breakthrough, the next supplement, the next hack, when in reality, greatness often begins with the smallest habits? One cup may seem insignificant, but when it's repeated day after day, it becomes a pattern, and patterns shape the way our brain performs. Imagine waking up in the morning, still half asleep, your mind clouded. At that moment, you stand before a choice. What you pour into that cup sets the tone for your entire day. Will you fill it with something that drains your energy, spikes your blood sugar, and leaves you sluggish an hour later? Or will you choose something that awakens your neurons, clears the mental fog, and sharpens your ability to think, solve problems, and make decisions? The beauty of this idea is in its simplicity. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need hours of free time. Just one mindful choice, one intentional cup, can begin shifting your brain from scattered to focused. Research shows that even slight improvements in nutrition and hydration can create measurable changes in mental performance. A brain that was struggling to stay alert suddenly finds itself firing on all cylinders because it received what it truly needed. And here's the deeper truth. That single cup is never really just about the drink. It's about the signal you're sending yourself. By choosing wisely, you're telling your brain, I care about clarity. I value my intelligence. I am setting myself up to succeed today. That small act carries weight. It becomes a ritual, a daily reminder that your mind deserves the same attention and care as your body. Now ask yourself this, What could your life look like if every single morning you started with a choice that made you sharper? Not once in a while, not only when you feel motivated, but every day. Over weeks, over months, that choice compounds. One cup becomes 100, 1,000, and with it 1,000 opportunities for deeper focus, stronger memory, and greater creativity. That's the real power of one simple cup. It's the gateway to a sharper, smarter, more intentional version of yourself. The connection between nutrition and brain performance is something most people underestimate. We often think of food as fuel only for the body, calories to move, energy to function, but the brain is the hungriest organ we have. Despite its small size, it consumes a massive share of our daily energy, and the quality of that energy makes all the difference. If you feed it junk, it struggles. If you feed it clean, nutrient-rich fuel, it thrives. Think about how you feel after a heavy meal loaded with sugar or processed carbs. You might get a quick burst of energy, but within an hour, you're sluggish, distracted, maybe even irritable. That's not a lack of willpower. That's biology. Your brain is trying to run on unstable fuel, and it simply can't maintain peak performance under those conditions. On the other hand, when you nourish it with foods rich in healthy fats, antioxidants, and natural compounds like those found in green tea, black coffee, blueberries, or omega-3 rich fish, you can feel the difference. Your thinking sharpens, your memory strengthens, and your focus extends longer. It's no coincidence that some of the greatest thinkers and creators of history paid close attention to their diets. They understood, even without modern science, that the mind and body are inseparably linked. Today, neuroscience and nutrition studies confirm this connection. Deficiencies in certain vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids directly impair cognition, while balanced, nutrient-dense choices elevate it. Here's the key. You don't need perfection, you need consistency. Small adjustments, replacing one sugary drink with a smarter option, adding one brain-supporting food to your plate each day, can rewire the way your brain functions over time. Your neurons become more efficient, your brain fog lifts, and your creativity flows more easily. So when you think about that one cup in the morning, remember it isn't just a drink. It's a nutrient delivery system to your brain. And the better the quality, the better your performance. This is not just about feeling good in the moment. It's about building the kind of brain that can carry you further in life. Faster thinking, deeper learning, sharper focus. That is the real connection between nutrition and intelligence. Why do we underestimate the power of one small choice? We think intelligence is something fixed, something you're either born with or not. But the truth is, intelligence is shaped every single day by the decisions we make. One small choice can set the direction for how your brain functions not just today, but years into the future. Picture this. You decide to swap one sugary drink for a cup of clean, brain-boosting fuel. At first, it feels like nothing. One day won't change much. But repeat that act every morning and suddenly your brain is getting consistent nourishment instead of constant crashes. That small choice becomes a habit, and habits become a lifestyle. Over time, your memory strengthens, your thinking speeds up, and your focus deepens. What once felt ordinary now becomes your advantage. The ripple effect of that choice is enormous. With sharper focus, you get more done in less time. With better memory, you learn faster, retain more, and apply knowledge more effectively. With mental clarity, you make better decisions, decisions that affect your health, your relationships, your career, even your happiness. One choice multiplies into outcomes far beyond what you see in the moment. Here's the beauty of it. You don't need dramatic change to see dramatic results. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet or wake up at 4 a.m. to meditate for hours. You just need consistency in the little things. Neuroscience shows us that the brain thrives on repetition, on patterns. When you make a single healthy choice consistently, the brain rewires itself, creating stronger pathways that support sharper intelligence. So ask yourself, what's one small choice you can make today that your future self will thank you for? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be consistent. Because over weeks, months, and years, one choice repeated daily is no longer small. It becomes the difference between a life lived in distraction and a life lived with clarity and intelligence. The hidden power of certain natural compounds is one of the greatest secrets most people overlook. We often think intelligence is just about studying harder, reading more, or working longer hours, but the truth is, the brain is a living organ. Like your muscles, it responds to the fuel and the environment you give it. And hidden within certain plants, herbs, and foods are compounds that act almost like keys, unlocking sharper focus, calmer thinking, and even better memory. Take L-theanine, found in green tea. On the surface, it's just a plant compound, invisible to the eye, tasteless to most. But inside the brain, it calms the overactive pathways that make you anxious, while enhancing alpha brain waves, the very waves linked to creativity and deep focus. That's not magic, that's biology. Or look at caffeine, not in the form of an energy drink packed with sugar, but in its pure, natural state. When consumed wisely, caffeine increases alertness, boosts dopamine, and makes information stick in your mind more effectively. Antioxidants, too, are silent protectors. Found in berries, cocoa, or even spices like turmeric, they shield your neurons from oxidative stress, the kind of damage that slowly erodes memory and focus over time. These compounds are like invisible armor for the brain, guarding your intelligence against the wear and tear of daily life. The fascinating part is this: for thousands of years, ancient cultures leaned on these natural compounds without fully understanding the science. They drank herbal teas for focus, used spices for clarity, and turned to plants for healing. Today, modern research confirms what they instinctively knew, that nature has hidden within it substances designed to elevate the human mind. But here's where most people go wrong. They ignore the hidden power and chase artificial stimulants, sugary fixes, or processed shortcuts. These may give a burst of energy, but they leave the brain drained, addicted, and less capable in the long run. True intelligence is not about speed alone. It's about endurance, clarity, and creativity. Natural compounds, taken consistently, provide that foundation. So the next time you pick up a cup, ask yourself, am I giving my brain the hidden tools it needs to thrive? Because within that simple choice could be a compound that doesn't just wake you up today, it could sharpen your intelligence for years to come. How many times have you woken up in the morning, looked at your to-do list, and felt like your brain was wading through fog? That heavy, dull sensation where even simple tasks feel complicated, where you reread the same sentence 3 times and still can't remember it. Mental fog isn't just frustrating, it steals your time, your focus, and your potential. The good news is you can break free from it, and the solution is often simpler than we imagine. Mental fog comes from imbalance. It may be a blood sugar crash from that sugary breakfast. It may be dehydration that leaves neurons struggling to communicate. It may be a lack of key nutrients your brain is begging for, or the constant stimulation of screens that scatter your attention into fragments. When the brain is overloaded, undernourished, or overstimulated, it slows down. It's like trying to run the latest software on a broken, outdated computer. But breaking free doesn't require a complete life overhaul. It begins with one conscious step. Replace that sugar-loaded drink with a cleaner source of fuel. Start your morning with hydration, just water, before anything else. Give your brain oxygen with a brief walk or breathing exercise. Feed it healthy fats and antioxidants that repair, protect, and energize neurons. These small acts sweep away the fog, letting the brain breathe again. Think about this. Clarity is your natural state. The brain is designed to be alert, sharp, and creative. Fog is not a sign of aging or weakness. It's a signal. It's your brain asking for better fuel, better rest, better care, and the moment you respond, you'll feel the difference. The dullness lifts, the heaviness fades, and suddenly thoughts connect faster, decisions feel easier, and your focus stretches further. Breaking free from mental fog isn't just about feeling better in the moment. It's about reclaiming hours of your life that you would have wasted in distraction and fatigue. Imagine what you could accomplish if your mind worked at its full capacity every single day. How much you could learn, create, and achieve. That power is within your reach, and it begins with the choices you make the very next time you pick up a cup, a plate, or even your phone. Energy and memory are more connected than most people realize. We often treat them as two separate things: energy as physical stamina and memory as mental storage. But in reality, the two are inseparable. The brain cannot store, recall, or process information effectively if it doesn't have the energy to do so. That's why on the days you feel exhausted, you also feel forgetful. You can't remember where you left your keys, you struggle to recall a name, and even simple details slip away. It's not that your memory is failing, it's that your brain is running on an empty tank. Here's the truth. The brain is only about 2% of your body weight, yet it consumes around 20% of your total energy. That means 1/5 of everything you eat, drink, and breathe goes directly into keeping your brain alive and functioning. When you give it unstable fuel, like processed sugar, it burns out quickly, leaving your neurons sluggish and your memory unreliable. But when you provide steady, clean energy, like healthy fats, proteins, and nutrient-rich plants, the brain thrives. Memory becomes sharper because your neurons are firing efficiently, communicating clearly, and storing information with strength. Think about the last time you had a great night of sleep, woke up refreshed, and fueled yourself with the right breakfast. Didn't your mind feel clearer? Didn't you find it easier to recall details, solve problems, and even think creatively? That's not coincidence. That's the energy-memory link in action. On the flip side, when you're drained, memory slips through your fingers no matter how hard you try. You can read the same page again and again, but nothing sticks. This is why students who pull all-nighters often remember less than those who sleep and eat well. The energy supply to the brain simply determines how strong the memory will be. The powerful lesson here is simple. If you want a strong memory, don't just focus on memorizing harder. Focus on energizing smarter. Give your brain the right fuel, the right rest, and the right rhythm, and memory will naturally follow. Energy is the foundation, memory is the result. You can't separate the two. Quick fixes are tempting. They promise instant energy, instant focus, instant results. But here's the problem. Quick fixes don't last. They give you a spark and then leave you in darkness. You've probably felt it before, that sudden burst from an energy drink or a sugary snack. For a short while, it feels like your brain is alive, buzzing with clarity. But then comes the crash, the heaviness, the irritability, the fog that's even worse than before. The truth is, the brain doesn't thrive on shortcuts. It thrives on steady, consistent practices. Think about building muscle. No one goes to the gym once, lifts weights for an hour, and expects lifelong strength. It's the repetition, the daily training, that shapes the body over time. The brain works the same way. You can't flood it with artificial stimulation and expect brilliance. You need simple, repeated habits, small choices that slowly but powerfully build resilience, clarity, and focus. Science shows us that sustainable brain health comes from practices like consistent hydration, balanced nutrition, restful sleep, and mindful stimulation. These don't look flashy, they don't give you fireworks in the moment, but they build a foundation. They make your focus more reliable, your energy more stable, your memory more dependable. What's interesting is that people often dismiss the simple solutions because they don't sound dramatic enough. Just drink more water, just eat cleaner foods, but those justs are exactly what transform your brain over the long term. Quick fixes give you a sprint and leave you exhausted. Simple practices build endurance that carries you through years and decades. So the next time you feel the urge to grab a shortcut, pause and ask yourself, will this choice build me up or will it tear me down later? Because intelligence isn't built in a single burst. It's carved out of consistent, simple actions that the brain can rely on every single day. Consistency is the silent force that shapes the brain. Most people underestimate it because it feels ordinary, even boring. But if you study the lives of high achievers, thinkers, and creators, you'll notice something remarkable. They protect their routines like treasure. Why? Because the brain craves rhythm. It performs best when it knows what to expect, when energy, rest, and nourishment come at steady, predictable times. Imagine two people. One wakes up at different hours every day, eats erratically, and fuels the brain with random bursts of sugar or caffeine. The other has a simple, steady rhythm, wakes up at the same time, starts the day with a brain-supporting ritual, eats balanced meals, and rests at consistent hours. Which brain do you think performs better in the long run? It's not about willpower or talent. It's about the environment you create for your neurons. The brain is like a finely tuned instrument. Play it at irregular times with no pattern and it goes out of tune. But give it consistency, sleep, fuel, hydration, learning at set hours, and it aligns, firing smoothly and efficiently. That's when focus stretches longer, memory strengthens, and creativity feels natural instead of forced. The problem is, many people chase intensity over consistency. They'll push hard for a few days, studying nonstop, dieting aggressively, or overloading on stimulants, and then crash. But brilliance doesn't come from bursts of effort. It comes from patterns of discipline repeated so often they become automatic. When you build routines, you remove decision fatigue. You don't waste mental energy wondering what to eat, when to sleep, or how to start your day. Instead, your brain can spend its power on creativity, learning, and problem solving. And over time, these consistent practices carve neural pathways so deep they become second nature. So if you want your brain to be sharper, don't ask, what can I do once? Ask, what can I do every day? Because consistency is the difference between occasional flashes of clarity and a lifetime of sustained intelligence. For thousands of years before laboratories and brain scans, people already knew something powerful. The way you fuel and care for your body directly affects the way you think. Ancient wisdom was filled with practices meant to sharpen the mind. Herbal teas brewed for focus, fasting for clarity, meditation for calmness, spices for energy and memory. These traditions weren't random. They were tested by generations who observed the connection between what they consumed, how they lived, and how their minds performed. Take fasting, for example. Ancient cultures used it not just for spiritual reasons, but because it created mental sharpness. Modern science now tells us why. Fasting stimulates the production of ketones, a cleaner fuel for the brain that enhances focus and memory. Or consider turmeric, a spice long used in traditional medicine. Today, research shows its active compound, curcumin, protects the brain against inflammation and supports mood and memory. Even practices as simple as morning rituals of drinking tea or water, or evening habits of winding down without distraction, were not just cultural, they were cognitive. They primed the brain for learning, focus, and creativity. And while ancient wisdom was rooted in observation, modern science now validates it with data. Neuroscience confirms what those before us already knew in practice. A healthy brain doesn't come by accident. It comes from rhythm, nourishment, and intentional care. The danger today is that we've lost touch with these timeless truths. Surrounded by artificial shortcuts, processed foods, and constant stimulation, we've forgotten the wisdom that once guided sharper, calmer, more focused minds. Yet the bridge between the old and the new is clear. Science is not replacing ancient practices, it is rediscovering them. So when you choose that one cup in the morning, remember, you're not just following modern advice, you're tapping into centuries of wisdom backed by today's research. The past and present meet in a single act, and together they point to the same truth. Clarity, intelligence, and focus are built through consistent, natural choices that stand the test of time. Every powerful idea means nothing if it stays in your mind without action. You can learn about nutrition, memory, focus, and energy all day long, but unless you take the first step, nothing changes. That's why the last message is simple. Start today. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when life feels easier. Today. Because every day you delay, you lose a chance to sharpen your mind, to live with more clarity, to use your intelligence at its highest level. Think about it. Your brain is the control center for everything you do. Your work, your relationships, your creativity, your future. And yet, how often do we take better care of our phone batteries than we do our own mental energy? We rush to charge a device the moment it drops to 20%, but ignore our own brain when it's foggy, drained, or starving for proper fuel. That has to change.